Administration transfers education programs to other agencies in dismantling push. The White House announces it's shutting down the Department of Education.
It's a good thing.
Oh, boy. Yep. Thank God. Thank God. Yes, and by the way, anybody who's mad about this, kids are retarded. They're fucking retarded. So where's all this money going? Where are we getting? Like, so we're investing all this money into the Department of Education, and the kids are fucking dumb. So I say...
Well, Department of Education wasn't making them smarter, that's for sure. I wouldn't call kids retarded just for not having a lot of life experience, but I think stupid. Retarded, you need to reserve that word for those who truly deserve it. I think just calling kids retarded cheapens the word. You know, for those really brain-dead adults that do things that you just cannot understand how stupid that person is, that is when you use the word retarded. Using it on kids, that it cheapens the word.
Shut it down. Shut it down. It's obviously not working. So just get rid of it. Yeah, no more department. Yeah, why is this a W? I don't understand. It is a basic...
It is a W because government is going to be wasting less money. And also Department of Education was a big leverage point for pushing woke ideologies, racial politics, all that stuff. It was being forced down into schools through the Department of Education. And that is not something that was making our kids smarter. It was actually actively making them dumber. And it at the expense of real teaching. Like instead of math, they learned about white privilege. That is so bad. It's taking away the real life skills that they could learn to hate themselves, basically, because the majority of America is white. And this racial equity stuff teaches you that you're bad for being white.
It's not working. That's the reason why it's a W. In my opinion, now what would I do? If I was Trump, what would I do? I would completely reform the Department of Education. I would get rid of all the No Child Left Behind laws. I'd let tons of kids fail out of high school, and I'd allow the communities to...
Oh, another thing is that No Child Left Behind. They have schools catering to its dumbest students, like making sure that everyone passes by making the test easier, lowering standards. It had all types of negative impact. You can't legislate good teaching. That has to be done the hard way, recruiting good teachers and looking at long-time results. You can't just mandate stuff from above.
To effectively create an underclass so we can use people for batteries in 10 years. That's clearly what I would do. Unfortunately, I'm not the president, so I can't do that. So that's
using people for batteries from The Matrix for everyone. And that's a great movie for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Really what I just get rid of them, right? And I'd have like systems where like kids can like... I would have a way to like remove kids from school and then put them into like other trade skills and other types of like labor things, right?
Yes, I recently there was a story, let me see. Here we go. U.S. in trouble. Ford CEO can't find 5,000 mechanics for 120K jobs. Because all these students go to college and they're not learning the skills for this. And so we just have a shortage of skilled laborers. And skilled laborers could earn good money. We have too many college graduates. That's the problem.
That's what I would really do, because I think that would be better for them too. Like, I'm trying to help them out.
Yeah, someone who doesn't go to college and then ends up with a 100K job at Ford factory, that's a perfectly good living. You can own a house, raise a family on that income. You don't need college to have a good life. That is a lie. In some cases, if you actually use it right and go into law or the doctor, or if you actually learn skills, it can be worth it, especially if you're above average and get good grades. But if you get a gender study major, you would have been much better learning real-world technical skills.
Wow. And so it's like you can't... There's a thing that people believe that's a lie, that you can just teach somebody to be a chemical engineer. No, you can't. No, you can't. If you went to a working class public high school, you know that's not true.
I don't know, is context at college, you can teach someone to be a chemical engineer, someone with good grades who's determined to be that. Yes, you can teach them. It's hard. Chemical engineer, chemistry, that was the science I hated the most at school because it's not intuitive. You have measurements like moles that have no real world counterpart, so you can't. Physics, you can, well, if the car was going this fast, you could sort of imagine it, but not chemistry. Let's hear what his point.
It's not. There are some people who were born to turn big rocks into little rocks. That is their destiny. Who are we to challenge nature?
I believe that there's no destiny for any one person. You don't need to be smart. I know this to reach the highest places in society. Like, you go to top jobs in finance, and there's a lot of incredibly stupid people. A lot of it is networking, connections. Unfortunately, smarts alone don't guarantee you'll be wealthy. They help, though.
Send them to the coal mines. Send them to the I don't know, at the quarry.
Also, there's some very smart people that get addicted to gambling and ruin their lives. So, yeah, intelligence helps, but it's not a determining factor to outcomes in life.
Have them, go get...
I'd say good work ethic trumps intelligence in terms of how far someone will succeed.
Coal, oil fields for them. Yes, exactly. And so we don't need to... This is so wrong. You think that it's wrong, but it's actually right. Forcing every single adult.
Amongold is being extreme. He does have a point in that there are some people that guiding them towards higher education and college is a bad idea. That they would have been better off getting a 100K job from Ford. Period. And he's treating it like breaking rocks, but you can get paid a lot for breaking rocks. So there's that.
To go through Algebra 2 is a waste of tax money. It is. They're never going to learn it. They're always going to cheat. They're just going to use AI to get the answer. They're never going to use it. They're going to forget it 5 years after they graduate. This is for 95% of students. I'd say probably not.
I have ended up using algebra and calculus at times in video games to plot stuff out and to calculate the most optimal way to build my character or town, or like games like Factorio or Satisfactory.
99 actually, but let's be generous and say 95. Are we really investing our money the most efficient way by having 95% of students be learning something that they will instantly forget and never use?
Okay, I'd counter with this. Asmund, you're worrying about the wrong problem. First, get rid of gender studies, something that is absolutely useless. Teaching someone calculus that doesn't need it, and teaching someone gender studies that doesn't need it, teaching gender study goes first. You're putting the cart before the horse. First, get all the useless, absolutely useless stuff out. Then you worry about who you can teach algebra to.
No, it's just simply not a good way to do it. California spends $100 billion on their education and they're still ranked 38th in the country. Yeah, fucking retarded. So more money is not the solution. The solution is is removing stupid kids from schools. And by the way, anybody who
sometimes the problem's the teacher, Amongold, too.
Thinks that I'm wrong, I have a very simple question that will immediately make you realize that I am not. If you removed the bottom 5% of dumb, annoying, misbehaving, problematic kids in your school, what percentage of the problems in your school would have gone away?
There are problem kids that later turn into straight-A students. I mean, I at one point was failing out of school because it was a bad time in my life, and I went on at other times to have very good grades. So the problem with taking out the problem makers is every potentially good student has a bad few years. If you have a bad decade, maybe take them out, but not just they do badly a few years, and their father dies, their mother dies, they get adopted, and they're going through a ton of shit, and they do badly in school, and according to Amongold, they should like be dropped out and their life fucked over even more. No, I can't agree. You have to be more selective with that.
The bottom 5%.
Because the bottom 5%, there you will have students who their personal life is, there are factors beyond school that is fucking them over. And it means not doing your homework, for example. You can be very smart, but deaths in the family, abuse, something that is distracting you, can't do homework, then you get into the bottom 5%.
I'll look at them, every single one, right? Almost all of them, right? Exactly. Why is it that we allow the 95% to be terrorized and damaged by that 5%? Why do we do that? Is that really the right decision?
Also, this is an incredibly important part. He's saying that the bottom 5% cause a lot of the problems, but a lot of the bullies, a lot of people causing the trouble. Amongold, you were one of the people causing trouble from all your stories in school, and you weren't part of the bottom 5%, but you were certainly causing. From all the stories you've told, you were a troublemaker, a little, pretty much in school. The stories of breaking your flute and pretending you were too poor for another one. Yeah, that's the type of stuff a troublemaker does. And sometimes the bottom 5% aren't actually causing problems for anyone else. Sometimes you just have a quiet loner who's doing very badly at school, but he's not making trouble for anyone. If you wanted to say get rid of troublemakers, sure, but the correlation between troublemakers and the bottom 5% of the class isn't close to 100%. So which one is it? People that are making trouble or people that are at the bottom of the class?
Decision. Is that the good decision? Is that the fair decision? How is it fair that 95% of people need to be handicapped, set back, had problems, and having to deal with this bullshit just for the best interest of 5% of people that will probably contribute nothing to society in the long run? No retard left behind? Yes, exactly. Weak men and feminine empathy? Exactly. It's embarrassing. Embarrassing. Yep, send them out to the coal mines. Like, I would have a thing where basically this is elementary school, this is middle school, this is high school, okay? So,
I must say, although I disagree with Amongold, his proposals are very entertaining.
Okay, so after you graduate high school or elementary school, if you're really dumb, you get a different education program that is working towards mining. Now you're going to learn how to turn big.
Okay, if you're really dumb, are you saying academic grades determine whether a person's really dumb? Because I completely disagree there. There are people that have IQs well over 100 that get bad grades because they just don't see the point of doing homework. I mean, they're geniuses that fail out of school, and you can't determine intelligence by grades in school.
Big rocks into little rocks.
Also, foreigners come into the country. You know how they do in school? Someone who has never barely spoken English and comes over and they get put in school. They can barely speak. They do terribly. So all foreigners go to the mining school automatically because they get bad grade because the English isn't their first language. Your proposal has so many holes.
Which rocks need to be turned into little rocks and how? So wouldn't your grades put you into 5%? Yeah, I just would have gotten into 6%. Yeah, I would.
He admitted that he was in the 5%.
Just gotten better grades. Yeah, it's simple. And yeah, so now you break rocks. And then so...
Let me make this perfectly clear. There are some cases that I'd agree with him with. The problem is the cases I don't. There are students that are going through shit and their grades reflect that, and having one bad period of your life and then getting sent to mining school, his criteria needs to be far more selective.
But that's what happens. Now, they could maybe come back in if they're smart and they want to get their shit together. Maybe they could go back to middle school.
Okay, that makes this proposal a little bit better if there's a way to get back. But You have to understand, there are troublemakers that aren't in the 5%, and he just did the perfect example. He said he was a troublemaker. He was in the 5%. He would have gone 6%, and so you're going to have a lot of troublemakers that get 6%, and you just have people going through shit that are going to go to the mining school. Your proposal isn't going to work, Aspen.
Later on. But generally, that's where they're going to go. But if you're smart, you go to middle school. Now, whenever you graduate middle school, are you going to go to high school, or are you going to become a farmer? You're going to be doing agriculture stuff. That's what you do instead. And then inside of high school, are you going to go to college?
Okay. There are states that have very little farming. And what you do if you're in a major city, being trained for factory work, the 100K job, that'd be better than farmer. His proposal needs some work.
Or are you going to go to a trade? So really, training people for a job that exists is better than, think about what we're doing here, right? Let's actually think about this in a genuine, real way. Are we really doing anybody any favors by force feeding them this education?
Yes, there is one reason, critical reason to disagree with Amongold, because all of these students are going to be future voters. And you want your future voters to have a minimum education standards. And you send this person to mining college, never give them a decent education, they're going to be an even more uninformed voter than they already are. In a democracy, in a Western democracy, yeah, you want it through high school if possible, barring exceptional conditions, or at least middle school level of education for everyone, so that you have a more informed voter population. Aspen, reading. Do you think every American should have the ability to read? Because if you're putting elementary schoolers in mining things, they're not going to be very literate. Is it okay to have a huge part of the voter base not being able to read? Is that an issue to you? Because that's another big problem with your proposal.
That they will never use, while at the same time we could have been using that same time to be able to educate them in something that they could use to take care of themselves. Are we really helping this person by making them memorize when the Civil War happened if they can't even do something that can generate a living for themselves?
Okay, another problem, mining. What does a miner need to learn? Practically nothing. So you'd still need to teach them to read, and why not teach them American history? Elementary and middle school, I don't really think kids should be working that much. They should be learning as best they can. You want voters to have at least middle school level of education, at least have the ability to read and do basic math. I mean, yes, I do think everyone should have basic algebra. If you teach them algebra, it reinforces basic math. And basic math, you do need that. So yes, I think they should learn algebra because of its role in reinforcing basic math. They should learn basic history of the country they live in. Yes, that's what makes us American. So all that's in elementary and middle school, yes, learn that. If you want to do your separation at high school, I am much less of a problem with, because there's more data to determine who's smart and who's stupid, and because I want all Americans to have this level of education, at least.
Are we really helping them? Is this really something that's beneficial for them? The answer to me is no, it's not. It's not beneficial. It's not even close. You're clueless? Everybody says I'm crazy. Everybody says, no, you're getting pulled up. You're getting pulled up. Go ahead. So you want to put dumbass high scores in our food industry? No thanks. Oh, no thanks? Go to McDonald's and see who's over there. So what about this is wrong? You're not thinking long-term. The system that you're saying has happened in Iran, and it backfired with rich people who pay for grades in school, became idiot doctors and the best engineer, and become simple mechanics? Well, how does that even make sense?
Yes, Asmund, any system gets gamed. You should know that. And this system here is ripe for gaming. You're going to have rich students. If their child is a problem maker, they're going to pay teachers to boost them out of the 5%. That's what's going to happen, Amongold. You know that. That means rich kids are never going to go to here. They're going to do what's necessary to get their kids just above the threshold you set. And those are the troublemakers. So you can't get rid of a big group of troublemakers. Just that alone makes this whole idea ridiculous.
So that doesn't mean that dumb people can't get good grades. I mean, Iran, what the fuck? I don't know what happened in Iran. Iran's a totally different country. So yeah, you can't make decisions based off of what happened in Iran. Like, what do you mean? It's a completely different culture. It's a different place. It's a different, like, environment. Everything's different. So yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Didn't we do the exact same thing that the kids that had dyslexia in the past, though, declare them retards because they had issues with reading? Not necessarily. I mean,
Yes, they did do that. Right now, the fundamental biggest issue with things, he assumed stupid equals troublemaker. But that correlation isn't there. There's some stupid people that never cause trouble. Everyone knows that. And there are some troublemakers that are really smart. So your system, it rests on the basic assumption that the 5% are stupid, get bad grades. But the troublemaker, no. And they will, like you said, you said it yourself, you would get 6%. You, the troublemaker in school, would get 6% in this system. So it wouldn't eliminate you, Amongold. Your system needs to be able to eliminate you and send you to mining school. Otherwise, it doesn't even achieve your stated purpose of getting rid of troublemakers.
obviously, you've got to figure out why somebody's retarded. But, like, if somebody's getting bad grades constantly, why are they in school? Why are they in school?
You said it yourself that because of No Child Left Behind, you knew that you needed only a certain amount. You would get an A on one test, and on the next test you wouldn't study at all and get 50% and still pass. A student that doesn't try, if you're not trying, if there's one half of the semester that you're not trying at all, you are a problem student, Amongold, because you are interfering with all the others that are actually trying to learn.
School. What's the reason? And so only dumb people can get good grades with efforts? Exactly. And so, yeah, it's really just that simple, man. But I don't know what else to say. They force people into long studies, and now you have a gazillion art majors, a saturated job market.
Another issue is he's misidentifying the problem. Problem is all these art majors, these gender study majors in college, that degree ends up being useless and they have debt to get it. That is the big societal problem right now. And what he's saying here does nothing to address that problem. Going back to his things, you have non-troublemakers that go up and then they go to college and they get gender studies. It's completely useless in the workforce. His system doesn't eliminate that.
Yeah, so do we have any sort of argument from here? School is a way to gauge people's skillfulness? Exactly. And the gauge has decided that you're going to the mines. That's right. 100.
You know, artists aren't necessarily good at math or science or reading. You can you send all artists to the mines, Amongold?
100%. It's that simple. Is that simple?
Artists are key for stuff that you like video games, and that you don't need to be a good student in other subjects to be a great graphics designer and modeling in video games. It's a different skill set.
Well, anybody who's been to a public school knows what I'm saying is true. Anybody who...
I've been to a public school, and I don't agree with you. Well, I think that's enough. That's enough for this video. Amongold's proposal for education... He's memeing. He's not being serious. He's exaggerating. He's being hyperbole, but it's still a pathetic and dangerous proposal because some of his audience will take it seriously. And I'm worried that he doesn't fully understand education and its purpose. We want voters with a certain level of education. There are artists that don't necessarily good at math and physics and English that still have valuable skills and can find success outside the coal mine. Are artists retarded because they can't do English and math? And what about someone who's just going through a rough time? Do they deserve to be sent to the mines to make their life even worse? Anyway, like and subscribe. This video will be on YouTube, and bye.